Okay, here we go with 8.2. Sorry for the delay, but we're trying something else. So this was from last week, March 5th, obviously, and we are going to work from here. So, first example, two-part equations now. So you need to leave the variable until the end. So this 2x, leave until the very end. Okay, so we're going to move, to erase that, move this 1/8 to the left, to the right side. Adding it on the left, to move it to the right, you need to subtract 1/8 from both sides. It will cancel on the left, leaving you with just 2x. Subtract 3/4 from 1/8, then you get 5/8. So then finally, to get x on its own, divide by 2 on both sides, and you're left with x equals 5 divided by 16. And finished. So here we are looking at our second example. This time we have division there at the end, but again, leave the variable as the last step. So to begin with, we need to move that -1/2 from the left to the right. So in this case we will add, make that a little better. Let's just erase that and try again. So add 1/2 to both sides. Again, that cancels, leaving you with a/4 equals, remembering of course there's a negative in front, so -1 3/4 plus 1/2 will leave you with -1 1/4. Finally, last step, 4 is being divided, so we need to do the opposite operation to move it to the right hand side, so we will multiply by 4 on the left and by 4 on the right. So your 4's will cancel there on the left, leaving you with just a, and you get a final answer of -5. And there is our second example finished. Okay, here's our third example of just straight equations without any word problems yet. Now this will have an extra step, as we see you have x there as a denominator. We need to move that to the numerator here, but not at first. So, following the same steps we did before, 3/7 needs to get moved over to the right side, so we'll subtract it. So 3/7 from there, minus 3/7 from there. Again, disappears on the left, leaving you with just 4/x. I'll try and get better at drawing 4's. Equals a not very nice fraction of -17/56. Now here's where it gets a little bit tricky. This x we cannot have as a denominator in the final answer. It needs to be moved, so it is now a numerator and on top of the fraction. So to do that, we add a step where we multiply both sides by x, such as that, leaving those x's to disappear, leaving you with 4 equals -17/56 times x. The last step now, you need x by itself. So I'm running out of room here, so I'll just talk you through it. Divide that fraction on both sides, so it would be 4 divided by -17/56. That will give you x by itself for a final answer of, which for a final answer will be -13 3/17. Now if you'd like, you can pause here and work on page 311, number 8, using the examples we just used as a reference. If you're ready to move on, we'll look at 2 steps now with decimals. So the same steps follow that we just completed. Leave the variable here until the end. So to begin with, we'll move the minus 2.2 from the left side to the right side, so we will add 2.2 from the left to the right, leaving you with a over 1.4 equals, so this will then equal negative 1.3, so those decimals aren't coming out the best. Then from here, 1.4 is being divided by a, so you will multiply at both sides by 1.4. So we will cancel 1.4 on both sides there, leaving you with just a equals negative 1.82. So on to your favorite problem solving. First one here. If an hourglass empties the top part of the glass at 3.2 grains per second and the top part starts at 150 grains of sand, how long before the top part of the hourglass holds only 30 grains of sand? Now, as always, you will have an equation, so there's an equal sign. On the right hand side of the equal sign is always what your result is, what you ended up with, how much money you made, the total amount. In this case, we will end up with 30 grains of sand at the end. You are losing 3.2 grains per second, so that is where our variable goes to figure out how long it'll take, and you start with 150 grains of sand, leaving us with, so this now leaves us with a nicer looking equation that's all typed. So again, same steps apply. Variables there, so we'll leave t till the end. So you have a positive 150, which we will subtract, canceling it here, and subtract 150 from the right, leaving you with negative 3.2, that's ugly, 3.2 times t equals negative 120. Now don't worry about having negatives everywhere, your time will still be positive as you're about to see. So to move negative 3.2 over to the right hand side, it's being multiplied here, so we will divide it, which will cancel it on the left. Divide the same thing on the right. Again, be very careful with the negatives here, make sure you include them. So in the end you will get, as an answer, 37.5 seconds for it to go from 150 grains of sand down to 30 grains of sand. Okay, two more problems. Second one, Jane spends $42 on shoes. This was $14 less than twice what she spent on a shirt. How much was the shirt? Again, your total will go on the right hand side of the equal sign. So she spends $42. Looking at the words less than is subtracting. So we will subtract 14, and twice the price of the shirt will be twice as double, so 2 times the price of the shirt, so 2s. Now I have an equation that you've seen before, so to solve, follow the same steps, add 14 and add 14, that will cancel, leaving you with 2s equals 56. Now, should be easy and you're flying along, divide both sides by 2, that cancels, divide u by 2, price of the shirt will be $28 for the price of Jane's shirt. Final question, and this will help you on the homework, so there's your big hint, and it will end up on a test sometime in the future. The cost of a banquet at Nick's Catering is $215 plus $27.50 per person. If the total cost of the banquet was $2,827.50, how many people were invited? Now, you've seen questions like this before. You did this in grade 8, whether you remember or not. Again, total goes on the right, so 2,827.5. Now, here's the important part. This catering company charges $215 whether one person comes, or 4 people, or 100 people. So that will not be attached to a variable. That is the flat rate. It is not dependent on anything else. The last piece of information, $27.50 per person, so that is where your variable will go. 27.5 times P for person. And again, follow the steps that we've done repeatedly now. Subtract 215 from each side, so that will cancel, leaving you with 27.5 times P equals 2,612.5. And your final step, divide both sides by 27.5. Again, that will cancel. Do the same thing here. And you get P equals 95. So 95 people can attend the banquet at a cost of $27.50 per person. So that's it for this section on 8.2. Whoop. So again, it's a little sketchy the first time I've really used this, but we'll get better. Here's your homework for 8.2. Looks like a lot, but the last couple, as always, are problems, so please work through them. Please check your answers and always ask for help if you're unsure.